All right, thank you, everybody. We can go ahead and kick it off. I appreciate everybody joining our session here. I know there's a lot of competition for breakout rooms, so glad everybody could take the time and spend some time with us here today. One quick, just kind of order of business. The initial session had Zurich and Toyota actually mentioned as part of the title. Zurich actually had issues traveling here from Switzerland, but thankfully we have two great folks, Eric and Ravi from Toyota, joining us today to cover their AI playbook. So just kind of a slight change of the order of business. So just want to make sure folks know that before we kick it off. This is a panel-side fireside chat. So I'll kick it off from an NTT side, tell you a little bit about what we do and kind of our partnership with Toyota. Then we're actually going to dive very much into the use cases. This is very much meant to be kind of a real-world industry view into some use cases that we have going on in market with folks like Toyota. So just to kick it off, so I'm Tim Stabler. I'm one of our global data and AI leaders from an industry perspective. Been in AI my whole career, so I feel about 120 years old at this point in AI years. And then I'm joined here by Ravi and Eric from a Toyota perspective. Ravi, do you want to kick off your intro?
Sure, yeah. Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Ravi. I'm the head of product research at Toyota. So I'm from Enterprise AI Group, working on AI from last 15 years. So I've been with Toyota from 4 years. It's an amazing journey, which I'm going to share today.
Hello, I'm Eric Sway. I've been at Toyota for about 23 years. I'm head of the AI operations at Toyota. And like I said, I got started in generative AI on a dare 3 years ago.
All right, perfect. So I know every organization's had a little bit of a different journey with AI the last couple of years. I think we were talking about earlier today, Eric and Ravi, about a hackathon that you all had that kind of led to some of the interesting use cases that you have in production now.
Yeah, so every year we have an annual hackathon. In fact, ours just ended in week of Halloween.
Yeah.
We're on the 7th year of it. 2 years ago, we had one of the topics was generative AI. So at that time, everybody tried to create a RAG-bot on the use cases. And two of them, actually are in production now. One of them is called Battery Brain, the other one's called 𝗬𝗲𝗀, and it all has to do with manufacturing, knowledge, and machinery repairs.
Yeah, we have a lot of bots, not just like Battery Brain and 𝗬𝗲𝗀, as Eric mentioned. So in every hackathon is one of a cool idea which came up with our GVP, Brouhon Cédric, is across the globe, all Toyota entities participate in hackathon, and then they come up with new ideas in the day-to-day activities. That's where today we're going to share about one of a use case called 𝗬𝗲𝗀, and one other use case which we are going to talk is Material GPT. So how we are using generative AI in manufacturing, and is really generative AI helping, or it's just everyone are talking. So we're going to talk about real fun about how we have used generative AI and how it's saved a lot of $1 million for Toyota.
All right, perfect. So we hear a lot about kind of the hype versus reality of AI. I think a lot of organizations we work with have struggled to get things really at production and scale, right? I think you have an interesting use case that's really truly a global scale, right? Very large manufacturing floors, kind of very real world, right? So kind of impacts kind of real world atoms as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about that use case and kind of how it came to fruition and kind of where it is now?
Sure, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, sure, yeah. So there's a use case called 𝗬𝗲𝗀. So whenever we go to a production line, every day we build a lot of cars. And then if the production line stops, we can't able to produce cars to you all. So that's where an engineer on the ground who is, let's say if a machinery is down and then the production line is completely down, what the engineer does is he goes to I think maybe I'll just show real quick on.
By the way, if a line is down, I think the number was it's $1 million an hour we're losing.
Is it connected?
Yeah, it should be.
Well, this is an example of machinery. And when it goes down, right, with an error, somebody has to fix it. And when they go and fix it, right, they have to find the trouble code. And these books are not next to the line. And have you seen one of those ones like this big? Think about a person going through an index of books like this and how long it's there. And like I said, for every hour that machinery is down, we're losing $1 million.
Yeah. So if you see this guy, this engineer is trying to go and then see what this manual fixes. We have so many number of machines, and every machine has its own manual. And so how 𝗬𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀 kicked in is now. Once after see this one, he goes to this, he take this book, go to the machinery, and then see how we can able to fix it. So if he can able to fix it, well and good. And it's going to take some time as well. So we came up with some concept called 𝗬𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀. This is the app that we have built in, where he will just take a picture of where the error is, and then he gonna call our ingestion pipeline, which we're gonna talk about in soon. Is he gonna send this image to the 𝗬𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀, asking, okay, here is where I have stuck. Could you help me to fix it? Now he will get a response back within 10 seconds. Here is a response, and here is how you can able to fix it. And with also, if there is any, let's say you have a document that has in page number 696, it will directly take to the particular page and gives the information that here is the steps that you can able to fix it. And also it also has an ability that whenever the previous fixes that we have done, any engineers have done, it also gives that ability to that, okay, here is where you can also find the resolution as well. So with that, they can fix all the bugs within seconds. So that way, rather than waiting for 3 days or 4 days, we have so many testimonies that engineers have shared that there is a lot of engineers in Toyota. So when an engineer doesn't know what is 𝗬𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀, and then he started his job on Friday, so the production line is down, and then till Monday he worked on it heavy, and then he said, finally we fixed it by Monday evening. Tuesday morning he got to know that there is a 𝗬𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀. Now whatever he has done, he asked the same question to 𝗬𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀 on Tuesday morning. When it came within 10 seconds, what the heck, 3 days I wasted just to find the information. But see how generative AI really helped us to get that exact accurate results on the spot. So yeah, this is one of a cool feature that 𝗬𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 has.
So beyond that, we actually have real numbers, and I don't have the slide for it here, but this was deployed in July. The average repair time for something called grinder's machine before it was deployed was 90 minutes. After it was deployed, it went down to 45 minutes average repair time. That's a huge savings. We went down 50% in repair time just from them being able to access this chatbot.
Yeah. So to add on to is this is one of the biggest factor for 𝗬𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 is our ingestion pipeline. So we have a lot of documents. We have PDFs, we have PPTs, we have CAD files, we have every single format of files that you name it in Toyota. So the problem that we have is the ingestion, which means extracting the information from these tables. We also have a scenario where we found table inside table inside table inside image. So we need to extract that information as well. So how do we extract that? Right now with this existing technology, with generative AI, it can able to easily understand that, okay, the complexity of the pages as well. So what we have done is we built a solid ingestion pipeline, not just for 𝗬𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, for anyone in Toyota, meaning you have a PDF or you have any document, you just give us the input source. We will run through our ingestion pipeline that will give you basically that will index all your documents into a database. In our case is into a database that is vector database, and then gives you the information back. So we build this solid ingestion pipeline that helps any of the use case across Toyota with any kinds of formats as well. We also have a lot of CAD drawings. I'm not sure how many are aware of CAD drawings here. So we have so many CAD drawings, and we need to get accurate results from the CAD drawings as well, because you have a lot of information in the CAD drawings. So we are using combination of models, not just Azure as well as AWS. So we are using combination of models and trying to build this particular ingestion pipeline that helps really understand where we are today. So that really solved some of the cool use case on 𝗬𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, especially, and that ingestion is really helpful for every single bot that we have built for. So.
That's great. We talked about ROI, right? So $1 million an hour when the machine is down, right? We talked about kind of 3 or 4 folks that would take 90 minutes, 2 hours to actually fix a problem. Now they can do it in seconds. What about the actual AI enablement, right? This is a high stress scenario actually on the factory floor, right? Kind of when you release the actual chatbot in the future, right? Was there, change management AI enablement as part of that, or kind of how was the adoption at scale as you kind of rolled out from one factory to another to another?
A great question. I can take it. So we used to create some, like when we go to a business user, so we are going to ask golden questions to the business user. It's called, okay, give us golden questions from your documents. What are you expecting? Maybe a 10, 20? And then we're going to use some evaluation frameworks for using generative AI, and then we evaluate those. So basically, we ingested that golden questions into our database. And then once we release to the market, once we release to the entire business users, there is a 2-member team who will go to the engineers and see how are they really using it. Basically, kind of getting user feedback from them, and then see how they are using. If they can't able to utilize, there is something cool feature called thumbs down. So we take that when they click on thumbs down, we take a feedback of the chat response that they receive. So once we take that, the team the developers will have a look at it and see where exactly is it a problem with the retrieval or is it a problem with the ingestion. So that's where we'll try to back and then fix those problems today.
The other thing we actually do is we actually have training sessions with these engineers, right? We just don't give it to them and drop it off and say, hey, welcome, use it, this is a new toy for you, and no, we sit down with them and we tell them what the benefits are. And we have real benefits. We show them examples from other factories, which actually finally adopted it. We tell them how to use the tool, and this is a tool for them to make their life easier, right? And once they learn that, they adopt it quickly because it's what they want to make their jobs easier.
That's great. I think in terms of the use case itself, right, I think we were talking earlier today, right, the actual models take a lot of the, we'll call it airtime when we talk about AI, right? But you talked a little bit about ingestion, you talked a little bit about the actual user experience. The actual models themselves are a piece of the equation, but not really talking about full-scale production, really not the full equation. So I guess, how much time did you spend kind of on the, we'll call it the AI side to actually get the retrieval down versus, really kind of the full integration, user experience, kind of all those pieces, right?
To build the entire use case?
Yes.
Yeah, so basically, the thing that we have, our group is Enterprise AI Group, so what we do is, any use case that Toyota does, it needs to come through our review board. That's called AI review board that we have formed in Toyota. So every use case that comes to AI review board, we will evaluate those use cases and see these are duplicate use cases, because we have seen everyone are building RAG bots, or agents. When they say agent, you all know it, so I don't want to talk. So there is a joke. Whenever any of our team members says agent, we will take a shot. So,
there's days I'm saying, since it's work, we're drinking water, and there are days I actually ran out of water. Gallon jugs, we ran out.
So yeah, so that's how it is, right? So we are taking every single learnings from across the teams, and then trying to build a solid pipeline that helps for everyone in our Toyota teams. So with the complete end-to-end is like, the ingestion is very solid one which we have worked, because every single format we need to take care of. And then we also have a retrieval, which is very important. So we closely work with Microsoft. We also closely work with OpenAI as well as Anthropic and AWS, and see what are the best practices that we can able to learn from them, and how we can able to use it in Toyota as well today. So the complete end-to-end, I would say it took approximately a year to build not just one single bot, but we build the entire platform in such a way that we can able to enable that to any platform, any use case that we can able to enable. Today, for example, if you want to send a use case to, I think everyone are from enterprise, right? So how a use case, if you need to send a use case to a production, you need to go through something called review boards, meaning you need to do an architecture review, you need to do a cyber review, you need to do a lot of this. But what we have done is, we work with cyber teams, we have also worked with internal teams, and make sure that whenever a use case came for enterprise AI, which is our team, we take that, and then we already have the entire solid pipelines built in. So we just take that and then send it to production within a week. Any bots. So that's how we built a platform that will enable any of our teams at Toyota that helps.
I was going to say, we templized everything. We got pre-approvals. So we're not creating everything from scratch again. We're just cookie cutter. Here it is. We did it one time. Here it is the same times. And everything's approved after the first time. Right. So this is how we can actually cut our deployment times from, I don't know, what's the average RAGBot deployments you guys have? 3 months, 6 months? Right? We're down to a week. From 6 months.
So now you have so through that year kind of learning, getting that use case into production, you have the platform, you have the template approach now. Now I know you have a very long backlog of pretty advanced use cases, right, when it comes to agentic AI. Right? Do you want to talk a little bit about the next use case when it comes to kind of the paint assembly line?
Sure, yeah. I mean, we have approximately 50 plus use cases in backlog, which we need to just pull in. Again, all our agentic racks. So I'm going to talk about a cool use case, which we also worked on with our R&D team, is I think if we wanted to, like, you see Toyota cars across USA as well and across the globe. So every color of Toyota that you see is unique, which means we create that colors. It's not a copied color from anywhere. So we do evaluations on every single color. We mix a lot of combination of chemical compounds and see what is the best color that comes out. And the process that's going to take to create a new color is approximately around 2 years that we spend just to create a color, because we do a quality testing in terms of putting that in the sunlight for an year, and see also we put it in the snow and see how it's fading. So all of that we do with our R&D team. So we built a bot called R&D GPT, which is like Material GPT, where we have used these respective technical reports, which has previous historic evaluations that team members have done, and then we take those reports and then we use those reports, as well as we also use something called we have different databases that we have used with these chemical compounds, and how we have used a deep research, I mean, like kind of a deep research, but not a deep research, but we used this generative AI concept to how we can able to reduce the 2 years of time to very low, like I would say I would say around 6 months of time that we can reduce and come up with the new colors. How generative AI is really helping us to say, okay, it's just recommending them that, okay, if you combine these two, you may lead into this one. So with the combination of all of this previous historic evaluations that we have, that really helping us to get today is the reducing the time. So we don't need to spend a lot of time in the R&D in doing all of that. So that generative AI is really helping us to do some of these evaluations as well.
Now, you mentioned the 50 plus use cases. What are you doing actually to prioritize, right? Is that kind of led by the business? Are you working with them closely?
We work with the business closely to prioritize everything. And the way that we're literally crunching them out, 1 or 2 a week, we're going through pretty fast. Right? In the last month, I think we've got 10 of them in the pipeline. 3 of them is going to be deployed, I think, tomorrow. Right? So yeah, because of that, I mean, we prioritize quickly. And the main thing that we actually work with the businesses, getting them to organize the data. Where's the unstructured data? Right? If it's in 50 different locations, they have to make sure that it's AI ready. Right? They just can't say, here, take it and make it work, and it's going to work. They have to consolidate everything. They have to make sure that things look good, right? They have to review all the data to make sure that there's not garbage in it. And so that's what they usually have to do before they even, what we recommend for them to do before they even talk to us and get them ready.
So are you coaching them on what AI-ready data actually means?
Yes, we actually have another team to help them with that, right? To get them organized, get the data organized, right? So once they do get our organized, we can start the ingestion process. We can work with them to get the golden data sets, right? And then we automate all that so they can actually see how the scores, how the questions they think they need, and how their data is reflected in those questions.
So I think a lot of organizations have, there's been a lot of news, kind of some organizations struggling with true Gen AI or true agentic AI in production at scale, right? And I think you have some great use cases where you're actually seeing a true ROI that's kind of attached to, either cost efficiency or even top line revenue. right? Are there any kind of lessons learned that you would offer to enterprises as to actually really do agentic AI or Gen AI at scale in a production that's in a way that's evaluated and governed and actually, something that's like fits on a factory floor, kind of working every day in real time?
Yeah, I think a lot of teams comes to our team and then say, we want to build a generative AI use case. So when we see an ROI, no one will come back again. But a lot of teams who came back saying, this is what it's going to save a lot of time. So we see always the ROI and see how much is it really saving Toyota if you use a generative AI, if you build a generative AI use case. So every use case is not a generative AI use case. So we evaluate those use cases and see how much of generative AI is really applicable for this particular use case, and we select those use cases. That's the AI review board that's job is. So we take those use cases which are really, important use cases for Toyota that we should implement for, rather than just going and implementing generative AI across all. So we take those use cases and we evaluate those use cases, and we see if that's already exists in any of the use cases with previous, or it's a new features that we need to build in. So we are trying to build this particular framework where anything that new comes in, we're adding this particular new features into this particular framework that we have created. That's called a platform. So how you have ChatGPT, we also have something called Toyota GPT in our in Toyota. So I think yesterday we have a Google 3 released. So we're trying to take it to production tomorrow. So that's much fast our team is in terms of getting the things in place. So we're working. So every model that released, we are trying to create this the platform that we are trying to create. So that this way is we are trying to save our knowledge within our Toyota, and then if we want to do a fine tuning, we want to use our own prompts and to do a fine tuning of our own existing models that can able to help different teams as well. So. This particular Toyota GPT is really helping a lot of team members in terms of, I think Toyota GPT is used approximately 60,000 users are using Toyota GPT today. Toyota GPT is not like Toyota trained data, but it is more on different models having across like Anthropic as well as OpenAI as well as GCP. So we're using different models across the industries, and then we're trying to enable this Toyota GPT to everyone.
Given how fast you're moving with the use cases, you even mentioned with some use cases kind of 1 or 2 a week, is there anything that's kind of slowing you down in terms of evaluation, or do you feel like you have kind of those things well baked that you can really push them out that quickly? Because I think some organizations may be risk averse.
It is, and it's all about the pre-work, right? Once we start the ingestion, right, it means we're already out the door. It's all the pre-work that comes ahead of it. Organizing data, organizing the business units to come up with golden question answer sets, right? Making goals of how good those are, right? Once we have that ready is when we start our stuff. So once they have the goals, they have the expectations, the data's ready, they have the questions ready, that's when we start working on it, and then they see the results out of it, right? So it's not we are building out faster. It's we work with them to get the data out, yep. Right? Get them ready, and then we can start our rollout.
Yep. And so you've worked with the business so everyone understands kind of the pre-work process, right, at this point. And so you have those kind of things lined up, and so you can actually move at the pace you're moving now.
Correct. Right? It's all the pre-work ahead of that, and that's what our lessons learned are, is that pre-work is really important, right? Setting those expectations, making sure the business understands it's not just throw it into an AI and you're gonna get magic happens and everything's gonna work perfectly. They need to know, and they have to do the work too.
Yeah. And just kind of hearing about your journey for like last 2 years, starting from a hackathon, and now you have all these use cases in the roadmap. Anything that you think is kind of worth highlighting in terms of either what you've seen here at Ignite or kind of your general kind of North Star vision over the next year of kind of where you guys want to go at this point?
Yeah, sure. So we are trying to build something, I think everyone know of Toyota.com. So we're trying to build a chatbot from Toyota.com from last 2 years. It's still not in production. You know the reason why? Recently, I think you have seen a lot of news coming in where some of the cars, like when they're asking a generative AI chatbot, they said, I'm gonna sell a car for $1. And then it's already there in the news. and that guy sued that particular company, and then he got the car for $1. That is like $70,000 car. So we are doing a solid testing whenever we are trying to whenever trying to release any of the respective bots to outside world. So generative AI models, these models do a lot of hallucination. So that's where we're trying to, we have a security bots also in place in our existing models. So whenever we use a model, we also have built our own fine-tuned security models that will kick in and see if this really they're trying to do some basically plagiarism, or they're trying to hack our bot. So that way we will try to log them and then see it's not possible. So our security team is really coming up with this fine-tuning models, and then every prompt that we send it, we do a prediction on particular those prompts and then deliver back to the customer. So this respective every single prompt, every single scenario that we are trying to build for Toyota.com as Lexus.com and asking is come up some of these use cases, which is customer-facing use cases, we are still not yet there because we need to make sure that every single term that is there coming in the bot is fully aware of and taken care of. So yeah, we as enterprise AI go across the board. We work with sales and marketing, we work with supply chain, we work with R&D, we also work with manufacturing, we also work with a lot of other departments across Toyota and make sure that we build secure AI, not just whenever they say AI, just throwing, no, it's not about that. We build a secure AI and then make sure that we deliver proper results.
Yeah, that's great. I think a couple of things you highlighted earlier, right, in terms of just being really important kind of when you're working with the different groups, right, whether it's a corporate function, right, or the assembly line, right? One of them was around data. Anything from a technical perspective in terms of, right, kind of basic RAG is one thing, but in terms of the complex nature of the data that you were working with, right, like what kind of technical challenges, how did you get over those hurdles, right? Anything you think is kind of worth highlighting over the last year plus?
Yeah, I think there are so many, to be honest. I can speak for 5 hours if you want. Technical challenges every day we found, because one of our business users will say, for one of our agentic RAG that we have built in is, I want this documents from this folder, not this folder. So retriever, when you are asking a retrieval, you use a hybrid retriever, and then you get the extracted documents. But the data information that he's asking is also residing in a different document. But the business user is saying, no, I don't want this document. I want from this document. No, the algorithm will not work in that way. Whatever the document that you want, it can't able to bring in you. So basically, the AI can't able to predict your mind and then say. So that is where the business knowledge is very important to feed into our generative AI language models. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to create a metadata of a human brain. So meaning, whatever the users are expecting, we are taking those feedbacks back, and then we are trying to create a metadata collection. And then from that collection, we are trying to see how we can able to use the particular collection and then pull the retrieval, whenever we do a re-ranking of those when we pull the documents from our database, we do a re-ranking. So whenever we are doing a re-ranking, can we able to prioritize based on this particular metadata that we have? So that's where we are working on some of these technical challenges for customized people like chatbots for business groups, and that's where we're trying to feed in. And we're also working on some of the text-to-SQL challenges. Text-to-SQL since no one solved yet. So MCP is one of a great tool that we can use for text-to-SQL today, but it still have a security loophole, which everyone are aware of. So that's where we're trying to work on to see how we can able to enable some of these existing ones today as well. So yeah, I think with that, we also have a lot of Japanese documents as well. So that's also one of the technical challenges. We have all of our existing models, we're using Japanese documents, and we're trying to feed in. I think Eric can speak more on that as well.
I was actually going to make the other side is, everybody knows about standard RAG bots, the static data. I think right now, with all of this conference that's going on, you see today, it's about pulling in live data. And that's the North Star coming up for the challenge for the next, I want to say, year or two, is to be able to have chats with real-time data, right? I think that's the goal. Then Ravi mentioned that's the challenge of having text-to-SQL and other items like that. It's just with MCP is solves some of the problems. But yeah, pulling live data into your chatbot is where everybody wants. I know so many of my business users asking, I want this. Can you get that? Yesterday?
Yeah, that's very important. I think, Eric, you rightly pointed it, right? The live data is very important for us to get the information from. So we're seeing a lot of problems as well. Let's say if the API is down, what we're going to tell to a customer, like the feedback, chatbot can't say API is down. So we need to make sure that all the APIs are, because it's all live data. So, and also the time taken that it's going to take. So that's how I think we are trying to manage all of these challenges and see how we can able to get this in. But there are so many challenges that which I can speak for. But yeah, these are some of the highlights of some of the challenges.
I like the analogy you used around kind of trying to create the metadata, right, for the human brain, so to speak. You know, an organization as large and complex as Toyota, right, it almost has its own language, right, in terms of, you know, context and ontology, right? And so how do you kind of build that in to that metadata layer, right? So it really, whatever use case really understands kind of the language of Toyota.
Yeah, I would like to speak on one use case which we're working on is called 𝗬𝗲𝗀. So 𝗬𝗲𝗀 is one of a beautiful use case. Our GVP Brouhon Cédric came up with this idea called 𝗬𝗀𝗀, where we have a engineer who worked for 35 years, Eric?
35 years.
35 years.
And he just retired last year.
And
he's the only engineer of one system.
And that is a mainframe system. And if
by the way, he developed that application too.
Yeah. And if there is a problem at 2 o'clock, we're going to call that engineer and said, oh yeah, I'm coming. The engineer will say, yeah, I'm coming, that's it. So he's going to come and then fix the problem, or he will try to help in the call. So this particular engineer has a lot of plethora of knowledge. So if once he retire, we're going to lose a lot of knowledge. So how generative AI helping is we are trying to build a brain of this particular engineer, which means we are trying to build an agent, nothing of this particular engineer's name, and then basically we are trying to create a generative AI is doing an interviews. It's going to ask a couple of questions of this engineer, and it will come back with a lot of questions again based on these respective questions. And based on these questions, we're going to take the collection of all the documents that he is talking about, meaning it's PPTs or whatever it is, or videos, or even if it's mainframes, he will just share the screen and show it. We will record the screens as well. And then once we take all the information, we will run through this particular ingestion pipeline that we have built in, and we create a bot on this particular name. So now this engineer left Toyota last year. Now if I want information from this engineer, now I can't able to get it, but I can able to get from this agent. Now I'm asking this agent, can you help us? Can you help me? How do I fix this problem? So now whatever the information that this engineer has, this agent is helping us to give back the information. So 𝗬𝗀𝗀 is a knowledge repository that's called in Japanese word, it's called 𝗬𝗀. It's a knowledge repository, it's a hub that Eric came up with. So yeah, so that's where this use case is. Now we have so many agents, which is like we have so many engineer agents of human brains, which are like who are every day working with a lot of business knowledge that they have. We're trying to take this particular knowledge into a digital way, and then trying to see how we can able to work on it.
That's fantastic. In terms of, now you're at a point where you have an approach, you're moving very quickly with use cases. We talked about some of the challenges with kind of getting real world value out of AI. If you could kind of wave a magic wand, right, and kind of remove one of the blockers you have, right? Is there one you would pick, right, that you think is kind of still in the way in terms of kind of really getting some value at scale?
Can you repeat your question once again? Sorry.
So I guess in terms of like the lessons learned and challenges that you've come across in trying to getting some of these use cases into production, is there one that you think over the 6 to 12 months is still there that kind of you really need to remove and focus on to get more value, or right? Do you think it's just kind of still kind of an evolution that you'll get there in the next 6 months or so? I'm
going to answer this question, and this is only because of our leadership, right? And him and our security and architecture group leader, he basically says, if there's a block, talk to me. I'll make it happen. It's not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen, right? So, and that's how our leadership has happened. So when you say that if there's a block, there's no block anymore, because he basically said, I will make it happen, right? I mean, this is cyber reviews, right? Yeah. And if any of you have been going through cyber reviews and looking at those reports, ouch.
Was there anything you did to kind of get that level of executive buy-in, right?
Honestly, they've been playing around with AI so much on their own system that they're saying you're going too slow. So they want us to more experiment and test and do other things and pull those stuff in. So yeah.
We're not even getting time to catch up with the market, because every single day we are getting a lot of new features that's building. And you use a lot of new models that build the entire ingestion. Tomorrow you come up with a new model, and when they say it's new model is working, you know how much it costs to use a new model again, do an ingestion? It's going to be it costs a lot. Like it's around $300K, because we have almost like terabytes of data. We again need to ingest a lot of them, and we use a lot of LLM calls. So there's a lot involved in this as well in terms of the cost that is there. So I think the main important thing is whenever we're working on something, we just make sure that we have a proper discussion with the business and see what exactly the business is, rather than just going and building a generative AI use case. It's whether it's solving the business need or not. That's a very important thing that we as generative expert enterprise AI team will consider it. And then, I think in terms of technical challenges that you asked for, I mean, there are so many which we're working on, but we're gonna do a lot of MCPs in the coming few days, which we're gonna work on. And then I think that's where Eric's team is helping us to build the infra for MCPs as well. So, but the latest advancement which I see yesterday in Ignite is also the MCP repository, which is really cool. So, which we're gonna look at it as well. So, yeah, with that, we're doing a lot of cool stuff in terms of, I mean, if anything new comes in, it's our responsibility as an enterprise AI to let the knowledge be shared across Toyota.
So one last question, right? You showed the similar land use case, which I think is a great use case of kind of from an ROI perspective, right, and a value perspective. As we think about kind of the new releases of kind of AI and kind of all the pieces around AI, at this point, do you kind of let that use case just kind of run its life? Do you actually have constantly monitor that to improve that use case? Do you kind of do both in parallel, or kind of what's your approach?
Oh, that's the nature of having the platform, right? As you put new functionality into it, right, the old use cases get new functionality.
Yes.
Right? These old use cases, they're not going to go away. We're going to make cars for a long time, and those machines are still going to go down. We'll get new machines, so we'll have more data, but it's still going to be there for, I will say, at least the next 25 years.
So you're constantly rolling out new features in the platform, even for the existing use case you showed, right?
Yeah, even the existing business users whoever are using the chatbots, they're saying, okay, this is cool. They're coming with the new ideas. Take this existing output that is coming from the chatbot and then call the live data and then get the output there. And then basically they're trying to connect the dots, and they're trying to automate the entire process of manual and then see, can generative AI able to do this one as well? So that's where we are coming up with the existing bot itself, with the bots that we are building. They're coming with the new ideas and see how we can able to enable that, take the particular retrieval information and then take those output and then try to take the next decision as well. So the only thing till now which we haven't worked on is the put call, which means write call basically. We did till now all the reads, but we didn't done a write with generative AI. We just want to make sure that we are safer in terms of doing anything like a generative AI action, taking an action, rather than any database calls. Right now it's all read information rather than write. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think what I like about what you've done is, right, you kind of created this template platform approach, right? You've made it future-proof in a sense, right? You're kind of really thinking about not just that one use case, kind of a POC sense, but really how do you kind of get value out of it long term, right? Even as new features come out at Ignite, for example, right? And you're kind of always, re-upping those features. That's great, right? I think a lot of organizations, I think, sometimes struggle with, right, kind of what to invest in, given how fast it's moving, right? But it sounds like you have a good blueprint to do that.
Yep. I mean, and a lot of companies like NTT and other consulting companies that we work with is, they come up with this and show a use case to our leadership and say, oh, I saw a cool feature from this particular company. And our leadership will come and ask, did we have that in our group? So yeah, I mean, that's where I think a lot of companies like NTT are helping us to build this as well with this new AI. Yeah. Thanks for that.
That's great. No, I think it was great to hear the use case, kind of hear the approach and journey you've taken. I know there's about 4 minutes left. If there are any questions, feel free to ask. I think there's a mic we'll pass around.
That's a cool mic.
Is this thing on? Everything you showed is incredibly impressive, especially just for the breadth of scale of your corporation. The big question I have here is you kind of talked about the indexing of data as an incredibly important part of your process, along with the fact that you seem to be creating custom models on top of it, and now moving into live data access. One of the things that my group has been really running into a lot with live data access on top of our models is the segmentation of data access for the users. Are you going through that by just democratizing your data access, or are you doing something in order to ensure that the agents only reach the people with the proper access?
Great question.
B. Right? Data security is one of the ones that I can't get around with, right? Somebody will beat me over the head if I don't do that.
Yeah, we are taking that into consideration. So
Gotcha.
even in our internal teams as well, let's say if you and if we are one team, Eric should not see my data, and then my data should not see by Eric as well. So we are trying to have that as well. Whenever a user logged in, we are trying to filter the index. We are trying to filter the indexes as well. You have something called pre-filtering as well as post-filtering in your vector search that you're doing. So that's why we're trying to pass this particular user information and make sure that this user has only access to these respective data. So that's where we are enabling that as well, and making sure that whenever you logged in, you only access to the respective data rather than not all the data as well. So we are putting that controls and making sure that you only extract the information the data that you have access to, not to everyone. So it's there in place today. So we are trying to build that particular analogy across the board, but since we have different types of data sources, it's very hard to build that particular analogy across the group. But since now every team is asking us, so we're trying to put in, whenever we got a new thing, we are trying to put that for the future inside our platform.
Gotcha. So it's the onboarding to the AI agent itself comes with the access to that data, essentially?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you.
Great question. Any other questions?
I can just keep standing up there, by the way.
Yeah, feel free to
have
ask
more
away.
When it comes to the ways in which you're approaching AI as a corporation, understanding the indexing of that data and the way that it's kind of going through, are you just doing it by having standard data cleanliness across the company, or are you kind of governing it by just waving this shiny jewel of generative AI in front of your customer and then saying if you want to play our game, you got to play by our rules? Is this a company-wide standard, or is this a you standard?
It's use case by use case.
Okay.
Right? Because again, they want something, right? And they don't know that they need to clean it up, right? So we were working with them to clean it up. Working with them, right? To say, you want good answers. Oh, we can do it your way, and you'll get, garbage in, garbage out. You want garbage in?
Yeah.
We'll get you garbage out. Generative AI is not a magic wand to clean up your data, right? That's rule one, and we tell them that. So we work with them to make sure that data is clean enough so that they can get good results.
But as a technologist, I don't agree with Eric, but
by the way, that's not a first.
So yeah, the reason is we already have a lot of terabytes of data which is already uncleaned. So we need to take this particular data and then make sure that we feed in this particular data into our generative AI models. As Eric mentioned, yes, we can't take the garbage in, but we need to make sure that we create this respective entities between, basically meanings between the information. Right? Let's say we have a scenario where in an Excel file you have an image, you have a table, and you will have an arrow mark pointing in the image to a table at one row. You also need to get the information of this meaning as well.
Yeah.
So today we are trying to get that as well. So the intent of the particular arrow mark is also very important. When you're asking, whenever a user asks a question, they're asking that, okay, can you tell me the value for this particular tool? How the heck they'll know from an Excel file? That's impossible. So that's what we're trying to work on and see how we can able to get it. So that's where I mentioned is one of our solid patented knowledge that we worked on is the ingestion. So the ingestion is very important rather than a generative AI model itself. So generative AI is really helping us to get those respective intents of that particular file as well. So I think, we just need to make sure that we are as solid. We can't just tell to every single user. We have so many number of employees in Toyota, and just to only do a MD file doesn't make any sense. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Do we have to relay the question?
I think we have time for maybe one more. Or no, we don't? Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just one more. What about when data expires? If you've got so much data gets outdated as well. So how do you handle that?
Basically the delta ingestion. So whenever there is a delta ingestion, we're trying to extract the modified files, and we only ingest those respective modified files from the delta. Basically, rather than ingesting all of them, we only take those respective delta ingestion. Like let's say if the file is modified, there will be a change in the date. So we're trying to get the dates after this particular date, or whatever the ingestion that we have done. So that's where we're trying to collect a lot of metadata and then feed into our databases. And from that date, we're trying to pull the information. So yeah, with that, thanks so much for joining. I think.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Derek and Ravi.